Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Okay, I think we can get it started since the recording is in process. So I'm gonna stay on the safe harbor statement for a few seconds. And again, thanks for joining the October webinar for the Fusion Data Intelligence Roadmap. As you know, we are hosting these sessions on a quarterly basis. The last one was in July, and we will continue that in the next year as well. So this webinar is being hosted by the Product Strategy team led by Ben Arnold, our Senior Director of Product Strategy. This is Fari Javanbhakti. I'm a Senior Principal Product Manager with the Product Strategy team. And along with me today, we have Jamie Anderson, Alex Tussman, and Maddie Wilson. We are joined by our great product management team from the Fusion Data Intelligence. Stefan Schmitz, Group Vice President of the Product Management, has joined before, but unfortunately today he's not able to join us. But we're joined by Ash Bajpai, Vice President of the Product Management for ERP and SCM Analytics, Naren Chala, Senior Director of CX Analytics, Nupur Joshi, Senior Principal Product Manager for the HCM Analytics, Amit, Senior Director of Product Management for the Administration and Security, and Dave Grenholp, Senior Director of Product Management, leading user experience. So again, thanks to the Oracle team for joining us as well. In regards to the agenda, I will provide quick updates on the community website. So since we last had this webinar in July, there has been some changes on the community website that I will go through. Then we move into the CX Analytics Roadmap by Naren, ERP and SCM Analytics Roadmap by Ash, HCM Analytics Roadmap Review by Nupur. Amit will take us through the administration and security updates, and they will walk us through the user experience roadmap items. Please use the Q&A box as we move forward with the session. Our product management team will address the questions in the Q&A box, and if we have time at the end, we will answer the questions live. So with that, I'm gonna share the website, the community website, so we can take a quick look at the website live. So since we last met, we have had a facelift. But besides the facelift of the community websites, the user experience has changed, and we have added a lot more content to the website. So I'm just going to highlight a few of them. As you have registered for this session, you know, we have a lot of events listed. So we have both in-person and online events listed in the events page. We have the news and announcements that you can take a look, and we highlight some of them in the main homepage as well. Most importantly is the Idea Lab. So if you haven't tried the Idea Lab before, I highly encourage you to do that. Since we are hosting the Fusion Data Intelligence, we're going to look at the Fusion Data Intelligence Idea Lab. And if you have any feature requests, any enhancement requests, feel free to put that in the Idea Lab. You can also take a look at other users' ideas and vote on them if that's something that you're also interested in. You can encourage your peers, your colleagues to vote on your ideas as well if that's something that they want to see in the product as well. But this is mainly the platform that we'll look into when we are planning a roadmap, and that helps us to shape the roadmap to better address our users and customers' needs. So with that, I'm going to go back to the slides. I lost my slides here. There we go. Okay. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Naren to walk us through the CX Analytics roadmap.
Thank you, Fari. Hello, all. I'm going to talk about CX Analytics. Real quickly, our product CX Analytics is really focused on what we call revenue intelligence. So our goal is to help our customers, especially revenue ops, to how to grow the top line revenue. So everything related to revenue. So our product's goal is to combine or unify front office, mid office, back office. So all the way from leads to opportunities to quotes, subscription, and then to order management, and finally to invoices, right? From a roadmap perspective, we have a product with really good surface area. So we have reached a stage where we are able to cover Fusion Sales, Fusion Service, Oracle CPQ, Subscription Cloud, and also Eloco on the marketing side. The key focus of the product is B2B, not B2C. What is upcoming? Actually, we already delivered Salesforce. So one quick note on Salesforce. Because a lot of our customers use Salesforce, we treat Salesforce as if it's an Oracle product. We have built subject areas and content for Salesforce. So if our customer is using Fusion Sales or Salesforce, it's almost treated natively or almost the same. So we are kind of double down on it and go deep on Salesforce as well. On the Fusion Sales side, we are working on an intelligent app called Sales Forecasting Prediction. Will help you figure out accurately predict the revenue. On the CPQ side, we already have coverage today, but it requires integration with Fusion Sales Cloud. In future, we can support standalone CPQ. So if the customer is using Oracle CPQ, let's say with Salesforce, for example, we can still support that use case. A lot of use cases combining CPQ with supply chain, order management, quote to order. Incentive comp, that's another big area that we are attacking. Upcoming, we have incentive comp transaction and credit subject area. And then from a marketing perspective, we already have very good support for Eloqua and Salesforce. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to double down and support security roles coming from those systems as well. Subscription, we're going deep, more dimensions we're adding on subscription billing. So what is the future? We will actually support more of Salesforce application. So today we support only Sales Cloud, but our goal is to support CPQ, Salesforce marketing, as well as service. We are working on more 360 kind of views, specifically CDM on the sales side, Fusion sales side. So we will actually bring customer data, CDM data into Fusion Analytics. There is an interaction subject area that is coming as well as part of it. We are actually building a really excellent product on CPQ side. So of course we'll have historical snapshot, but what I'm excited about is ability to do pricing optimization. So we are working on intelligent app that will help us optimize the price looking at the quote history. Our goal is also to support field service. A lot of customers using field service as well. On the subscription, we are actually trying to do more detailed kind of analysis, if I may. So look at a cohort. So you can look at a cohort and try to analyze how the patterns are. We want to build more integrated reporting across supply chain, as I mentioned earlier. And then we also are working on AI/ML use cases around customer churn prediction. We will go further deep on Eloqua side to do closed loop reporting, which basically means combining data from sales and marketing, being able to do influence marketing. And there are other sources that we're considering, including responses right now and Unity, as there is a demand from the customers. So back to you, Fari.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Naren. Ash, over to you for the ERP and SCM Analytics roadmap.
Great, thanks, Corey. So what I'll do is I'll quickly go through some of the key highlights from 24R3 and then speak to the roadmap pretty quickly. If you have any questions, feel free to keep asking questions in Q&A. For 24R3, I'll talk about some of the key features, but there's a video on Customer Connect which goes in a lot of detail on some of these features. So feel free to go to Customer Connect and view the recording of that video. But we did a lot of changes on Accounting Hub Analytics based on the needs from customers. Number one, there was a need from customers on being able to drill down from summary level details in GL to the custom subledger transaction details in Accounting Hub. That we had native support for that, but we've done some enhancements to make those drill downs much more efficient. There has been asked from customers for a while to provide frequent data refresh support for Accounting Hub as well as configurable account analysis. So with 24R3, we are able to support that using what we call the custom frequent data refresh capability. Please know that there are more changes which are going to come through when you talk about frequent data refresh in general in coming releases, maybe in 2 to 3 releases from now. I will come back in one of the future roadmap sessions and talk a little bit more about that. But you can use FDR today for CAFH. In addition to that, configurable account analysis has been fairly heavily used feature within our finance user base. There have been numerous requests to add additional attributes across different subledgers. So we delivered some of that as part of 24R3. Data validation, there has been a very important feature for our customers to validate what's in the warehouse with what's in source, that is Fusion. And oftentimes when we add new subject areas and new metrics, we go back and in subsequent releases, we add support for data validation, which is what we have done for the remaining amount in AR transactions, as well as labor schedule and labor distribution in projects. So if you will remember, in projects, we released labor schedule and labor distribution a couple of releases back. Okay, now moving to the upcoming bucket, some important features. I'll not go through everything, but maybe the most important ones. Configurable account analysis. We continue to enhance configurable account analysis and essentially what the changes which are coming in will allow you to extend CAA and add additional attributes yourself. So that's an important feature that's coming in one of the upcoming releases. Many of you do create entries within GL in different currencies, what we call entered currencies. So we will start supporting entered currencies in the GL balances subject area. That's a feature that we've been working on. Hierarchies play a really important role for almost all of you when you talk about account hierarchies, cost center hierarchies. We're doing a series of enhancement when it comes to hierarchies, including in the platform, and some of those will start to show up in the upcoming releases. On the procurement side, we have a bunch of enhancements coming on purchase orders, agreements, and requisitions, where you will start to see approval history for different transactions. It will allow you to understand how is your business process in terms of health and efficiency, how many steps in approval, what type of changes you're going through, and those insights can help you optimize your business process. On projects, we have pretty robust support now. One of the asks from customers has been to add project billing events. These events play an important role in terms of understanding what your invoicing milestones for your projects are. So we'll start to pull in that information in the warehouse as well. I'll just highlight a couple of things on the future that we are actively working on. And if you have interest, feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to have one-on-one discussions with you. The revenue management cloud service, we just started looking into that. We hope that in 2025, we'll be able to deliver something. That's our goal, but we'll find out and we'll come back in next roadmap session and update you. Lease accounting is also something that we've started to look at, and we'll let you know how that progresses. Sourcing is one area There has been a lot of ask from customers on sourcing. We definitely have a higher confidence on sourcing that by sometime next calendar year, most likely by 25 R2, you will start to see some of the features on sourcing come through. Projects time and labor is available today in case any one of you would like to use that as part of your projects analytics. If you want to bring the time cards data and start leveraging that with all your project financials information, it is available as a limited availability feature. We can enable it for you and you can start to use it and test it and give us feedback. But we hope that once we have enough customers who have given us enough confidence on this limited availability feature, we'll find the path for to take this into general availability. Okay. If you go to the next slide now, I can talk about supply chain analytics real quick. So on supply chain analytics, again, 24 R3, we do have a customer connect session that we did for getting into the details, but maybe just quickly going through some of the key highlights there. As you folks know, we were focused on order management, inventory, and costing over last many releases, kind of delivering on customer feedback. What we've done is we've added specific supports for prepackaged analysis. So inventory turns has been one of the interesting areas for our customers. We've added support for DFFs and we've added prepackaged analysis workbook. Manufacturing and maintenance has been a significant addition. And we have added maintenance work order subject area. If you recall, we started off with manufacturing and now we are expanding into maintenance. We've been working on an OTM connector, so that's got into preview. So if you do have OTM as part of your landscape, you should be able to use our data augmentation capabilities to bring data from OTM and match it up with sales orders data, for example, in FDI now. In the upcoming bucket, we are adding a lot of prepackaged analysis to give you a jump start in work orders, inventory, cost accounting area. Please, leverage them as they become available. But obviously, it's easy for you to customize and extend what we provide as these best practice-driven workbooks. But more importantly, on the maintenance theme, we are adding new subject areas for maintenance resources, materials, operation transactions. We expect that with the addition of these new subject areas, when you talk about all your use cases for maintenance, you will have a much broader support and it will get us to some level of completeness on manufacturing and maintenance. We'll be able to start going after some higher value features like maintenance failure analysis in subsequent releases. On procurement side, I already mentioned some of the changes which are coming in because it's the same as on the ERP side. On the logistics, in addition to OTM going in preview, OTM connector going in preview in R3, we are also planning to get WMS connector, bring that into a preview mode. So you should be able to enable that yourself. And this should happen most likely by R4 timeframe. If you are interested in testing WMS connector, please do reach out to us and I'll log a service request. We should be able to enable it for you. It is available in an LA mode even today. We have added a subject area for sustainability. It was an LA subject area. Now we're working on a few enhancements so that there can be a wider adoption on that. Okay, looking in future, maybe I'll just hit on a couple of things real quick. We continue to enhance on inventory at costing. I mentioned maintenance is the new addition. We'll be able to go after high value use cases like failure analysis in future. Planning is one of the most significant feature that we are working on actively, and we hope that by the time we get to 25 R2 release, we give you an early stage version Planning Analytics, the very first version of Planning Analytics. If you have specific needs, please do reach out to us. We'll be happy to engage into a dialogue. Going beyond the WMS connector, we'll start working on pre-packaged WMS content. That's something which is on the roadmap as well. Those are the areas that we are actually actively reviewing as we speak. So let me stop there and then turn it back to Fadi.
Great. Thank you very much, Ash. We will move into the HCM Analytics, and Nupur, I'll invite you to go through that.
Thank you, Fari, and thanks, Ash, for a great update on the ERP Analytics. So we had a great last quarter. We delivered a lot many features, and we are continuing on that momentum in HCM Analytics. So this quarter, like what all we have delivered. So last quarter, if you remember, there were a bunch of subject areas and features that we had made GA. We did in the upcoming, we talked about adding bunch of things to payroll analytics, recruiting analytics, talent analytics. We have delivered on that promise. And on top of it, many other things have been added. So I'll quickly talk about what all things got done in 24.R3. So workforce seniority subject area is GA now. For absences and workforce score, the second monthly snapshot added, meaning what does it mean for you? There's a vast improvement on all the reporting capability so that the end user experience is amazing. So that is something, an enhancement that we have done on major 2 subject areas. The next one in the talent analytics, the talent profile trends has been delivered. So now you'll be able to see the trend of how the skills or how the competencies and languages, etc., over the period of time, and not only the as is current details. Profile matching, which is an AI model, has been made GA. In talent ratings, there are some band dimension enhancements that have been done. For payroll, in payroll analytics, as it's a huge data volume at play, here what we have done is that if your ask is to have only a monthly aggregate or something like that kind of reporting and analytics, we have delivered an additional subject area for payroll balances, which is monthly aggregate. We have added a couple of new KPIs in payroll balances, which is total earning, which is basically your regular and some of your regular and irregular earnings, and that does not include the imputed earnings, just a calculation of summation of 2 regular plus irregular earning components. We have also added all the KPIs at the analytical currency as well. Earlier, it was all available at the transaction currency. So now, instead of you doing any calculation to get to the analytical currency conversion of the transaction amounts, we have delivered this pre-built KPI in the payroll balances subject area, and soon we'll add it to the payroll costing as well. In the upcoming bucket, as all of you must have noticed and must have seen it, many of you might have in person attended the Cloud World Summit, where TK Anand, our EVP, announced People Leader Workbench. So that is a journey from a raw data points that you have, raw data that you have, to insights, to insightful stories, and how to make decisions from that. For example, it's a raw data. From there, you went to, okay, what is your attrition trend? What is your headcount trend? What is your recruitment trend? So that was all about meaningful insights that we had generated. But now that with PLW, we have moved a step further, and that is about insightful stories. So how your attrition gets correlated with payroll spend, or how payroll spend or hiring impacts your payroll spend, and what levers you have at your disposal to take action at. So that is the journey in PLW. But okay, you have taken a decision. Now, how do you do that thing? So what with PLW we are going to deliver, and as we speak, these are all in works. You'll be able to take an and loop action in your cloud HCM applications as well. So that is like the journey from data to insights to insightful stories and decisions, and finally an and loop action. That is all People Leader workbenches for you, enabling your people leaders to take accurate decisions based on the data points. In the talent analytics, we'll be delivering gigs subject area. That's a journey that we are starting for the Grow Analytics. Skill center related enhancements in the talent profile. Learning subject area would soon be made GA. It is today also available. You can use it in the preview in the enable feature in FTI. You can still use it. It will be made available. It will be made GA in the future releases. In recruiting, there are a bunch of KPIs that would be added in upcoming releases. From platform standpoint, from HCM, there are a bunch of security enhancements that are in works as we speak. Line manager security would be made available for payroll analytics. So you'll be able to roll it out to your line managers. But at the same time, you'll also be able to control if your line manager gets to see only earning components or deduction components or specific components. Maybe you just want your line manager to track overtimes or premium pay. So those type of security you'll be able to configure. Talent acquisition subject area today has different all data security roles. We'll be extending our standard HCM view all data security to talent acquisition subject area as well. And again, in talent acquisition subject area, out of the box business unit, legal entity, department contexts would be supported. In the future release, in the Grow Analytics, we plan to add the connections subject area. So continuing in the journey of Grow Analytics, we'll be delivering peer benchmarks as a feature. From people leader workbench standpoint, today as we speak, payroll spend is something which is being worked upon. In future, we will also work on salary spend, pay equity, attrition, and further specific payroll component related levers and impacts. From core HR standpoint, there are a couple of new AI ML models that are in works: pay equity and bias detection, employee flight risk reduction, flight risk prediction. That would be those two AI models would be available in future. Learning subject area has bunch of enhancements, and a V2 version of learning subject area would be delivered. Benefits analytics benefits offering would be available. Position hierarchy as a dimension, which is a very important dimension, especially for all our healthcare customers. So that would be available to all subject areas, most of the subject areas. A bunch of enhancements to recruiting subject area, a couple of KPIs, and many of you have requested for these KPIs. And as always, we have prioritized those development as well. In the talent analytics, inferred skills is something that is available today, but you'll have to do certain steps and perform it. What we are working towards is that it would again be an AI/ML model application. So the steps that you have to perform today would not be required. Performance sentiment reviews is another ML model is in works, which would be available under the talent analytics, and bunch of succession planning enhancements. From payroll compensation and salary basis bucket, we are aiming to deliver payroll run result and element entries. And when I say about element entries, if at all you are not a cloud payroll customers, then also the element, because many of the HR, HCM customers have element entry usages. So we'll design it in a way that, okay, if you are not a payroll customer, still you can leverage the element entry as a subject area. There are a bunch of enhancements on salary base subject area being planned, which like all components, simple components, rates, compensation zone, differential profile, a bunch of additional KPIs of period to date, period ago, etc. would be added. In payroll analytics, support for enterprise calendar. In addition to that, some 40 plus KPIs supporting enterprise calendar would be added. And last but not the least, from the HCM analytics standpoint, I would like to give some good news to my customers. That would be, we'll be simplifying the security setup further. So the area of responsibility-based data security would be made more configurable, and the certain data roles that we have today, the behavior of the data role also would be simplified so that it leads to your easy rollout to more larger customers. And learning analytics security enhancements are also in future plan. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Over to you, Farid. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Appreciate it, Nupur. Thank you for the great review. And I'll pass it over to Amit for the administration and security updates.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So as far as the regions that FDI is available in, we keep adding support for more regions in the OC1 commercial realm. So we already added Osaka and Hyderabad, and others will come up in the future, Montreal, Zurich. As far as government clouds, something to be aware of for UK Gov, we have both data centers, London and Cardiff. So that's something available. For European Union Sovereign Cloud, that's something that we intend to support shortly. In fact, by the end of this year, we'll have that available. And that will be in Madrid and Frankfurt. As far as DRCC, which is Dedicated Region Cloud, so that's bought usually by big companies or governments who need a very private kind of cloud. So we already are launching DRCC for a couple of customers in the Abu Dhabi region. And so that's something that customers can deploy. And then the big one is really US government cloud. So that has a big certification timeframe that it requires. So we expect the year 2025 to be that year where all the certification is going on. And then starting first quarter of 2026, first quarter or the second quarter of 2026 is when customers, government customers, US government customers can deploy in US government cloud. Moving on to provisioning, last release, we already have support for customer encryption keys. So that's basically bring your own key at the database level. If customers have their own encryption key, they can encrypt the data with it, and it would work throughout FDI. As far as provisioning new instances, we have added support for multiple subscriptions in a single tenancy. That's only applicable for a few customers, but if there are customers who are interested in multiple subscriptions in a single tenancy, that is now allowed. We've also converted the FDI autonomous database underneath from OCPUs to eCPUs. So a couple of comments there. eCPUs is more of a virtual metric that Oracle has moved to, and it does give you some better price performance. For example, storage is much cheaper. One OCPU equals around 4 eCPUs, so you can increment compute at a smaller grain, right? Each one eCPU each, and it has some details around database tools usage, where if you want to use machine learning, Graph Studio, data transforms, you can actually allocate certain compute to those tools. Okay, so that's already done, and by default, all of FDI instances that get created are on eCPUs. And the last one there is really no eCPU prereq. So today, when new instances are created, you have to have UCC subscription. In the future, that will take about 6 months or to roll out. But for new instances, we will not have that prereq. So you can get started with the service right away, and then only when you need to scale up and add more compute and storage yourself, that's when people have to go buy the UCC, which is the Universal Cloud Credits subscription. As far as the futures around the provisioning area, we are working on a disaster recovery SKU that will take some time. It's a complex feature for us. Today, what our customers are doing for disaster recovery is it's more of a workaround. You can purchase an additional test instance, deploy it in another region, and keep it as a backup or a standby. So that's a mechanism if you need a secondary kind of support today. But in the future, we intend to create an actual DR SKU that automatically takes care of syncing between primary and secondary. Similarly, multiple languages support per instance. That's something that will come up. And then there's something called FDI operational reporting, which is really the real time. Essentially what it is the ability to do data visualization workbooks on top of OTBI subject areas. And that is still a while away, but we're working on enabling that feature. Going on to extensibility, in the area of semantic model extensibility, there were a bunch of performance and UX related blockers, if you will, and we have created enhanced framework where customers are migrating to this new framework. And I have a link to that documentation, and please reach out if you need help there. Bulk data augmentation, that's a feature which allows pulling in multiple tables in one shot. So when you set up your data augmentation, today it's really table by table. But the idea is, you can actually, through one connection, you can say, well, bring in, let's say, 100 tables. That feature is in limited availability, going live soon. dbt integration, which is the open source data build tool. So if you're using that for transformations or your own kind of projects, you can integrate that within the data pipeline workflow. The other thing I would like to talk about is data share. So what we're coming out is a feature called data sharing. So the ability to take the data that goes into the ADW, sharing that data in a file system, like Oracle Storage Service, OSS. That's the first one. That's actually something that is in LA. And if someone wants to partner on that, happy to do so. The other third-party clouds like Azure, Google Cloud, AWS, that will come in the future. We are still working through buttoning up, legal issues and things like that. But the idea is to be able to configure and say your daily pipeline, have that data show up in these third-party clouds, your enterprise data lake. You do need to have enterprise license for that, right? Because the licensing is by the end user who is consuming that data. And that is useful, obviously, for machine learning and enterprise data warehouse type of scenarios. And then we'll continue to work on extensibility in areas like being able to extend the pre-built ML applications, the intelligent apps. And then the last one in the future section on extensibility, pipeline builder. That's essentially a programmatic way or an IDE environment to create your own data pipelines, apps. So it programmatically generates code in order to get, let's say, connect to a certain source, do certain transforms, bring it into the warehouse. But that's an advanced feature that's still in the works. All right, over to you, Dave.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Amit. And good to see you all on the list. It's good that Amit and I share these because experience is really built into all of these features as well as the content that the team presented earlier. But there's a few things that we'd like to call out. And Amit sort of touched on this already. These new intelligent apps that Nupur so eloquently talked about, as well as Ash and Naren, not only are content and compelling business-centric user flows, but also are an architecture and a platform that features a rules engine and a what-if engine, incorporating more and more AI capabilities and those unique new end user flows, which really sort of extend from all of our FDI content anyway. So you'll be seeing these new capabilities. You've seen an indication of those in various demos, like the one that we gave at CloudWorld around these capabilities. And more and more will be coming out as far as sort of extending the kinds of applications that we're building out of the box. On the experience side here, I'm stealing your little trick here, Ash, although mine goes away. We're building a new Content Explorer, and this is on the cusp of being released. This is similar to this Content Explorer that you may have seen at a URL, public URL, and which enumerates the content that we're building as part of our packaged applications. So like workbooks, subject areas, key metrics, etc. What business questions can be answered. We're, however, now building this as part of the factory content in the catalog. And the interesting thing about this is that it will address all of the out-of-the-box content as well as customer content will be listed alongside all of that content. So usage for identifying what's available for your applications and lineage, etc. So these are all in the upcoming bucket in the next 2 or 3 releases. On the future side, And some of this actually, sort of drifts over here too, but Amit mentioned the FDI operational reporting. So specifically, or further, this is a project to really incorporate the OTBI subject areas, the transactional subject areas from Fusion into FDI. That means that queries to the OTBI subject areas, as well as content based upon those, will be present within the FDI application on the glass, sort of alongside any of our traditional FDI content. So there's no joins between this content, but if you want to have everything in one place and bring in this sort of real-time aspect to the application and position that alongside the traditional FDI content, that will be possible with this project. On the platform side, there have been some significant updates to the OAC homepage. Of course, OAC is the analytics platform upon which we build portions of FDI. And there's been updates there around things like a watch list, which are an easy way to see a snapshot or KPIs and card-like visualizations on the homepage, as well as a notion of custom groups or being able to build custom swim lanes. And so as those capabilities come out, we'll be uptaking those in our factory out-of-the-box content so that we can push specific versions of these pages for specific populations and groups within customers' applications. And then, of course, those are extensible too. So you'll be able to build, customers will be able to build those as well. AI is a big push, and we're always looking to further incorporate AI capabilities more seamlessly within our content, as well as within the tooling that's available to extend that factory content or to build custom content. And so notably this AI assistant, this will be, I'll reiterate what I put in the Q&A, this will be coming out late year, calendar year, against data sets, and then in the first half of next year, we expect to see that against the FDI subject areas. And then finally, we're spending quite a bit of energy working on coming up with a coherent application experience that merges not only FDI, but also the core Fusion applications. And so these applications are ever moving more closer together, and you'll start to see some first steps along this path. It's a longer term project to really get to this completely seamless, cohesive experience. But in the short term, you'll start to see things coming out that bring these applications closer together, like links between applications, and of course, proceeding towards embedding analytics content within Fusion applications. And really, ultimately, now, future is beyond the next 2 or 3 releases. This might be beyond the next year, but really eliminating this sort of distinction between applications. And Oracle applications is the ultimate goal of modern analytics for Fusion applications. And of course, analytics is key in bringing that to fruition. So those are the few experiential aspects of the projects that we've talked about. I can go back and I can see if there's any Q&A. I guess there aren't, but otherwise, we'll pass it back to you, Fari, for next steps.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you, Amit. So there are a few questions that I see in the chat. Before I read them out loud, I'm going to launch an NPS or the webinar happiness survey. So for the attendees, please reply to that. It helps us to improve our webinars based on your feedback. But to review the questions that I see in the chat, I'm going to read the first one from Michael Brown. Will the FDI operational reporting subject areas be real-time? I think, Amit, it's for you.
Well, I could take that too, not to step on your toes. These will be the same subject areas that are available in OTBI, and effectively, yeah, they'll be real-time. So, we could debate the precise definition of real-time, but they will be the same subject areas as seen in OTBI with the same constraints. There's we expect to see a replication of the RPD within another instance, but as far as the data access, it will be equivalent to OTBI. Now, that's not to say that there couldn't be some impacts on, some latency of the additional query, the additional hop of the query but we expect that that'll be minor, and we're continuing to finesse that.
That's correct. As Dave mentioned, the OTBI subject areas point to the actual transactional fusion tables, and so that pattern would remain.
Perfect. Thank you. The next question from Andy Keynes. Are there any plans to allow custom BIP data models available in FDI? Idea being a single end user portal for all Oracle reporting and analytics.
Well, in FDI right now, we do have BIP as part of the offering. A lot of our, I don't think any of our factory content leverages BIP, but certainly you can see that the trend is one of unification. So we could certainly get into more details there, Andy, if you wanted to reach out to me and we could talk more about that. But BIP data models are accessible through FDI. They would be accessible against now as we land this operational reporting, those subject areas. We could get into the details there, but that's the plan.
Sounds good. Yes. And
if there's a follow-up, feel free to.
Okay, definitely follow up.
I will say on this operational reporting, it's the intention here is to bring a slice of transactional data into the FDI applications. We don't necessarily intend to supersede or replace OTBI, but if you want to have that content in one place, like I said, on the glass, this allows us to augment our traditional, applications which have the benefits of the data pipeline, but also suffer from the latency of the data pipeline. So it's always a bit of a give and take. But we feel by having this, then we can provide a complete application that would incorporate that transactional information where needed. But I will note that the performance will likely never be better than what it is in OTBI, and likely there could be an additional, small degradation due to the data movement or the data connection, the actual data across the wire. So it's not meant to, be the end all be all, but it will be really interesting in providing that additional slice of insights into your applications. And now I've talked too much, so.
No, that's great. Thanks for the additional comments. So the next question from Ankit is that during ERP update, when you mentioned GL to Fusion Accounting Hub drill down, is it attribute availability in subject area or some workbooks are also created?
Yeah, so the GL drill down to accounting analytics, that's more of a, I would say, subject area based feature that we are introducing, but it doesn't map to a pre-built workbook. If you would like to see a pre-built workbook, and if you can describe that to us, in terms of what specifically you're expecting, we'll be happy to look at that requirement. And probably a good plug, Fari, for our Idea Labs. So if you have things you would like to see on our roadmap, which are sort of unmet needs, these log Idea Lab requests as well, we are continuously reviewing those.
Absolutely. Thanks for the reminder, Ash. So I put the link again in the chat. Again, as Ash mentioned, please leverage the Idea Lab product strategy team and the product management team. We review all these ideas, showing that we validate the ideas and then we move them to the need vote status. So with that, we want to ensure what's the impact for our end users and customers. So feel free to put the ideas and also review other ideas, vote on them if they're applicable to you, and also encourage your peers to vote on your ideas. Another link that I put in the chat is for our Oracle Analytics Cloud and Server roadmap item that is going to be next week. Maddie from our team is hosting that one. So if you would like to join that one too, please feel free to register. Put the link in the chat. I don't see any other questions, but as always, if there are any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me or the team that we're presenting today, and we would love to hear from you. And with that, I think we can conclude this session. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks to the Oracle team for joining us as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.